Hello, we are Nerds of the West, and this is Aberration, a grimdark game set in the world of Grim Hollow. This is a tower defense, fully cooperative game with a little bit of worker placement, a little bit of combat, and a whole lot going on. We, the people that are going to be reviewing this game for you today. My name is Tom. We have a Kai.
Yo.
We have a Chris.
Tentacles.
And we have a Reese.
Hello!
We do need to say before we dive into how we review games here, this stream, everything we do this week has been sponsored by the folks at Ghostfire Gaming. We at Nerds of the West still try and be completely honest as possible, but just for transparency, we have been sponsored to play and review this game. So, when we review a game here, we don't like to say this game is a 7 out of 10. We like to say, if given the opportunity, would we prefer to play the game? And we'll be doing that by placing this game on our Nerds of the West ranking board, ranking it if we would like to play a game more than another at the end of the review. Can you give us more of an overview of this game and what's going on?
Sure. So this is a tower defense bag building game, which is kind of like a deck building game, but you've got a bag instead of a deck, which is nice. Throughout the game, we are going to be moving around this map, fighting the aberrant monsters coming out of the dark, lighting fires, assigning villagers to different points within the town to help us out, and upgrading our abilities and skills, placing more of these skill tokens into our bag to change what we're drawing, and spending them on a variety of unique skills that we all get depending on our race and class. We have been trying to get our survival score to 12 before our fear score gets to 12 to defeat the great beast lurking in the outskirts of our once peaceful little town.
This is a co-op game. How are you feeling about the actions you take in, the work that you're doing together, the co-opiness of this game?
I really like it.
Yeah, I think it's quite smooth.
The moment that stood out to me, and even though it didn't pay off the way we wanted it to, the fact that multiple people's turns played into it was me throwing traps down in one lane to start dealing damage to monsters we knew that were attacking, so that Reese could then jump in and finish them off. Like being able to plan my special ability of traps and your ability of tanking, and being able to like synergize and corporate buzzword those together. Even though it didn't quite work because dice are cruel, I really like those moments where you feel like, well, my ability lets me do this, your abilities let you do that.
I felt like we were all doing something different and unique. So I feel like in some co-op games, you were all essentially doing the same things, just in different ways. Whereas this definitely felt like we were unique. We were taking particular roles, similar to like a D&D game where I was the tank and he's the trap guy, and Chris is really hard to hit, and Tom was doing something, I guess.
That is my favourite thing about this game is everyone feels unique. You all start with the same ability board, but you all start with different tokens that you draw from, but also different abilities that those tokens do. So I, as the captain, my main thing is that my yellow tokens, I get to re-roll villager attacks. Or I can upgrade my strength attack to be an area attack and hit multiple things at once. So not only are you unique in what you start with, you're unique in what you upgrade to as you go, which is just really cool and makes the game feel really dynamic. Every time I've played this game, it's played out an entirely different way.
Yeah, I think it's a great game for, like you just mentioned, coordination, like being able, because we're all so unique and we have different things that we can do. One of the weaknesses of my character might have been one of the strengths of another character. So you almost have to like coordinate and come up with a plan beforehand of how you're going to tackle which situation, where the priorities lie on the board, if we can take some downside over here so that we can gain some benefit somewhere else. And you're constantly having those options sort of like come to the forefront of the discussion among the players.
And as each round develops, those discussions and what objectives you're working towards, whether it's killing monsters or actually unlocking objectives and doing the objective cards, changes, because at the end of each round, more monsters come out, monsters move closer and become more of a threat as they get closer to the village to score you those fear points. But also shadows and influence come out, so you can't know for sure where the threat's going to be, even though you've prepped a bunch of traps over here. But you can't quarterback this game as much as you can other ones, because each person's actions are different turn to turn. You don't know if you're going to draw the tokens that you need, and so each person's decisions really come down to their own board. And I think having the actions change per player means I can be somewhat familiar with what Reese is doing, but I can't quarterback his turn because his card's over there. Unless I'm like absolutely
Unless you
nettering this
have
game to an
played
extreme.
this game 100%. I know what the Dualist does. You should do this.
Yeah, as a casual game with so much of that changing turn to turn, it feels you can't quarterback, and I like that.
Another thing I like is how many sort of, I guess, resources you have to balance in a sense. I like that early in the game, we decided it was worth me taking an extra Aberration token, which is basically guaranteed more damage over time as I keep drawing that token. That was a risk or a penalty we were willing to take for me to temporarily draw a handful more tokens just to get the most out of that turn. So I like that you're discussing, like, is it worth this negative that is going to impact the rest of the game for a short-term benefit? Same goes for all the item cards that have got an instant benefit down the bottom that you can use even on other people's turns, or a more long-term benefit to use the card itself. So everything has this, do I get the immediate benefit now, or the long-term? Do I take the long-term penalties? There's a lot to think about in sort of every aspect, even as you're unlocking skills. Do I unlock ones that are a one-time use, or things that are passive, like there's...
But did you ever hit analysis paralysis with that because there were so many things going on? Or did you feel, all right, this is what my options are, and maybe doing 3 or 4 things?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think analysis paralysis is a huge issue because, I mean, I think I had on a recent with the same draw speed, I guess, the same number of tokens on a turn. So I can only take 4 token actions a turn, plus you're upgrading something, maybe if you've got the experience points and maybe using an item. So there's a little bit to think about, but because your actions are by nature limited by what tokens you draw, you don't have to consider every possibility. You only have to consider what you've actually got available. So it helps to narrow that down a little bit. And it's worth mentioning that this scenario that we played is on a beta version of the game. You can tell that this card art here is unfinished. It's not complete. The board and everything like that is in beta, we should mention. But we also played what was called a convention scenario. So I think really good is a good taste for the game. It gave us a really good showing off of everything.
But I think it lends to the strengths of the game that this is a quick, fast version of the game to play, but I can absolutely see the systems being used in a campaign setting, in a mission, one after another, or going for a longer game with higher scores, because we started at 5, but if you start everything at like level 1 and start everything down at 1,
it'll take much longer.
It'll take much longer to get going. You can weaken your characters, strengthen your characters, have a lot of options within this system. I think that's probably my favorite thing, is they've built a really interesting system.
There's a lot of flexibility.
There's a lot of flexibility, potentially a few too many keywords, a few too many times that we had to check what rules meant, what words said. And there's going to be some clarification on rules in the final rulebook. But the system itself, the core, I really enjoy.
I will also say, like, everything at the table is relevant. So I feel like with some games where it's like, for instance, if you get an Aberration card, in some games when you get that, like, oh, I've been hit, it just sits there and does nothing. Or, like, you get a bunch of item cards and they just don't do anything.
Yeah, they don't help you.
You know, like with me, like, my item cards sort of helped with my build or would help someone at the table.
Yeah.
Aberration card would, you take that hit, but then to keep up with the ever-growing threat, you also get stronger. So even then, it never gets to the point where it's super overwhelming. Like, it gets challenging, but never to the point of, like, we should have stopped playing half an hour ago because there was no way we were going to make it back.
And part of that is the game is really quick.
Yes.
This is a co-op game. This is a difficult co-op game. Your choices really matter. You can lose this game with the wrong choices, which I think, like, because of the threats that are on the board, by going, I'm going to fight this monster, and having just not the abilities to do it. But it only takes 90 minutes to play.
Yeah.
I think if this game took longer, it would feel like a drag.
Yeah.
I think.
But we played how many rounds in this game today? 4?
3. So
we started on the 4th when we won the game. Like, it's fast.
Yeah. And then I also want to add with the objective cards, before Tom cut me off, but like with the objective cards, right, they never get to the point where you're making weird decisions just to complete the objectives.
Yeah.
Right? So with what's that zombie game?
Zombicide?
No, with the trailer.
Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter, right? So the main takeaways from that one was if you were the trader, you were doing really weird, or like everyone had a card where they had to do really weird things because you had to be like, they might be the trader. With this, it's like, sure, end of turn with 2 heroes in the west thing. It might take longer to complete if there's nothing happening in the west, but like there's enough happening all around the board to then have people in the west anyway to make that relevant.
Yeah, it'll either reward you for doing things you were already going to do, or it's going to push you in a direction that, like one game that we played, our first objective was to light fires.
Yeah.
There wasn't a reason to light fires early, but because we did, it then slowed down the influence when it came out at the end of the game. Everything matters, but nothing is necessarily like, hey, if you do this, you're going to win the game guaranteed.
Yeah, and it's never like, do this really weird thing that will cost you the game. It's like, we can weigh it up, figure out what it's going to do, and go from there. But yeah, so like, I like how relevant it just works.
Yeah.
It works. Everything works. And I love it when there's a big game that takes up the whole table and it works. Right?
I was going to point on that. It is a big game. There is a lot of pieces. I think if you have a slightly smaller table than us, I'd say this is a regular size table. I can't remember the exact dimensions. It's like 1.8 by 0.8 or something meters.
We've measured this table so many
So many times. I can see this being an issue on smaller tables.
Yeah.
But it's not a massive game that's going to absolutely destroy everything if you don't have the absolute biggest table. And a lot of the smaller pieces you can move off to the side. We just need them on the table for the sake of content. Yeah. Chris, do you have any thoughts on like your ability paths and the upgrades and anything going on, or anything else that you enjoyed in this game? Any mechanics that felt weird?
If I may, I'll say something negative about the game, just to be open and honest. Still, I feel that the abilities are super cool and interesting. Obviously, you're sort of deck building. I know it's a bag, but you're essentially sort of like tailoring your game. I might start with these color tokens, but if I really desperately wanted to go into strength for some reason, like I had an item like the Axe of Cleaving, which I thought, that'd be cool if I just went full strength, started cleaving things. You can do that. But I never really feel, even with this upgraded difficulty, that we had enough opportunity to really like go hard into a color or diversify and pick maybe 2 or 3 separate colors. Because look at everybody's board here. Tom went very hard into command. He managed to get 4 tokens in total off his board. So Kai got, 3? Reese and I only had 2 each. And, there are 20 tokens on this board. So, and they get increasingly more difficult to unlock. So unless you are looking for a longer game, like this was 90
like a legacy version or something.
Yeah, like suppose it was a game that you would actually sit down and play a whole afternoon and really specialize and think about what decisions you're planning turns and turns ahead. There's no good reason to do that when you could just kind of impulsively, okay, this turn I might need, an extra thing, so I'll just grab that now quickly, and then really the game comes to an end too early.
I do think that some of that is just a symptom of the scenario that we were playing. I can't speak for the final rules and the final scenarios because they're not finished yet. But I do think, as Tom was saying, there's a lot of flexibility. If we started at 1 on the fear and survival track and with no influence on the board, this could easily have been another. It could have been another 4 turns, which means we would have all unlocked maybe another 4 skills. I don't think it's a problem to not have delved into all of them because we're playing with 4 people. I think if you were playing with fewer players, you would have to diversify more.
Yeah.
I think that because we had 4 players with 4 unique abilities, we could specialize a bit more, and that worked. So I agree. I do want to see more of this stuff happen.
I think I just want to see more of this game in general.
Yeah.
I think if this is all the game is, you would get tired of it quickly. If they're able to add a version of the game that is longer, where you see more different monster stuff come out, you see more monsters level up, and see more abilities happen, like giving more incentive. I love the fact that wolves were giving us items by the end. Gave us more incentive to kill wolves than anything else. I can see aberrants with their healing becoming more of a threat. More aberration cards as people get more damage coming out. Once again, I like the system of the game. I hope there's more to it. I'm keen to see how it goes. Goose Hydras in the
and now
campaign.
the game is on GameFound right now. If you're watching live, we have seen that there are more monsters. There's a expansion with a goose that has like 5 heads, which is insane.
Hilarious.
So I think the base game comes with more monsters. Then there's 2 expansions, which come with new characters and classes and monsters.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting. I think Chris's character that he was playing is a expansion character.
Correct. Yeah.
Ithrall, the disembodied.
So always check what comes with your backing of a game.
Yeah. You can also, there's 2 versions of the standard version. You can either get the base version. So you can get a standard version, which is just standees. So if you're not into the minis,
Or you want to save a bit of money.
It does come with standee versions. Look at that man. Look at those sexy legs.
Or you get the deluxe edition.
Or you get the
that
deluxe
has
edition,
minis.
which I have backed. I've backed the deluxe edition, which does come with the minis and the upgraded pieces. Just because I have enjoyed my playthroughs of this game so far.
With all that in mind, let's move the Spiky Boy out of the way. They're going to fix the Spiky Village. It won't be a health hazard.
It's quite spiky.
Where would we rank it on our board? Now, as I said, this isn't 1 to 10 objectively ranking a game, just if given the opportunity, what we would personally prefer to play. This game hits a really sweet spot of a 90-minute cooperative game that can be difficult for me. So it beats something like Roll Camera for me, or The Wolves, because I preferred the combat in this game to that. I think this can't go above Too Many Cooks for me. Too Many Cooks is just such a wonderful cooperative experience in such a short amount of time or a long amount of time. The options for gameplay and everything up that super top end of the board for us. Unfortunately, this just can't go higher, but this still hits right at the top in this top 10 rankings of games. I will play this for people that are new to board games, already experienced with board games. It's a good cooperative game.
Fair.
Yeah. I'm looking at the list. I'm struggling to think of a co-op game that I liked more than I liked this. Full disclosure, I would usually go a competitive game over a cooperative game given the choice. So this stands out to me as a very enjoyable co-op game. I would probably put it above Too Many Cooks, because Too Many Cooks is a bit too light and fluffy for my taste. I love the grim horror element. That's just my edgelord side coming out. So I would say below Arceus, above Too Many Cooks is where I think I would put this bad boy.
I'm going to say the same position for almost the same reasons. The only co-op game that I like more than this is Power Rangers. And I'm biased because I fucking love Power Rangers. Speaking of which, unrelated, Power Rangers Cosmic Fury came out on Netflix recently. I'm already halfway through. It is so good. It is one of the best Power Rangers seasons I have watched in years.
Check out our Power Rangers gameplay from our old studio a few years ago.
I want to play Power Rangers.
Fantastic.
I'd play it.
I got so many boxes that we need to play it again.
Yeah.
We'll get back to Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Chris.
Anyway, but yes, back to Aberration, which we're sponsored to play. I'd go above Too Many Cooks. This is one of the best co-op games I've played this year. And once again, full disclosure, I have backed this. I'm getting this. I'm getting the deluxe edition, and I'm still fighting with myself whether I want to upgrade that to get the all in.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Chris?
Very enjoyable. I love playing with you guys in particular because you're all grimdark and you love the theme, and it all sort of clicked. It was a great co-op game. I'm going to be bad guy though. I'm going to put it probably just on the same level as Hidden Leaders because I really did love that game. A very different kind of game. But yeah, that's where I'd place this game. Higher up towards what I would whip out on game night for sure.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Interesting question, because you play a lot of board games with your family, a lot more casual games. Would this be something you whip out with them, or is it just that step above casual?
I would love to try to teach my family this game, so that because this is something else for them. They're more into things like Splendor, Settlers of Catan, sort of like that intermediary complexity level of game. So I mean, yeah, I'd give it a try. I'd see if it worked, but I would love to do that. Yeah.
I know your parents. I'd love to see your mum play this.
The thing is, as much as there's a lot of moving pieces, I don't think it would be a difficult game to teach to people who are not hardcore gamers. I play with some family as well sometimes, and like Dominion and similar tier kind of games. I think I could get this across to them within, a turn. It's the things of this color can do the actions of this color. Like it,
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty.
And now that you've played the game and you're familiar with it, you've read the rules in and out, you can do the whole like paraphrasing thing and really make it easy for someone to learn, and that goes eons
beyond.
to helping them to be interested in playing the game.
But hey, that's just our thoughts. If you have any thoughts on this game, if you have any questions on this game, anything at all, leave a comment on YouTube down below or join us every single week, twitch.tv/Nerds of the West. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Ghostfire Games for sponsoring this. My name is Tom. We have a Kai.
Yo.
We have a Chris.
Yo.
We have a Reese.
Hello.
And we will catch you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye!